Welcome to the Clement Performance Method video newsletter, our VNL as an acronym. You guys know the drill. Coach Clement, Coach Holsupple, and we'll be your hosts today for this thing. As we always do, we go announcements, athlete of the week, inside the four walls, outside the four walls, and maybe a couple shout outs at the end. But announcements, we got a ton of them. We got two really big ones. I would say selfishly, we'll put ourselves ahead and say that we're having a clinic. A one-day clinic, 2 hours at Elena Christian School from 10 to 12, July 27th, which is a Saturday morning, right after our max velocity class. So for a lot of our students that haven't been here this year or whatever, it's a great way to catch up with your diagnostics. See how fast you're running and how high you're jumping right now. Two mainstays of what we do. Peak miles per hour and high vertical leap. So if you haven't done it, it's part of your measurements anyway. Like, we want everybody to come in and measure at least once a year. This might be a great opportunity to start being able to do that too. So, and then you're going to stay with us. We're going to diagnose some of your gait and your movement and see how that's progressing. So it's almost a check for you guys, for people that haven't been here before. They've never seen anything like it.
I think that you're going to come out of, even the kids who've already been here, you're going to come out of the presentation aspect of things and have a great sense and idea of who you are and what you need to work on in the future. Because we're going to really present a lot of information that is unknown, or like almost unknown to the majority of people. And it's going to be a little bit about recruiting and how to get recruited and why displacement matters. And then we'll be going over diagnoses of almost how to self-diagnose yourself, and then have a good idea of okay, I see in my videos that I look like this. So I got to start doing these exercises that are going to start to build these muscles in order for me to be more balanced and to be sequencing faster and running faster and moving better overall. So I think it's going to be, one of the very few clinics that you're not only going to get tested and you're going to get a lot out of it on the presentation aspect, that you can go home and have a really good idea and plan of okay, these are my diagnoses, this is why it makes sense, and then I can go implement some sort of program, if not come to us, whatever works best for you, and you can become a better athlete just off of spending 2 hours with us.
And I think one of the things, you guys, if you really do care about this stuff, you're going to look in and research everything you see on Instagram and everything like that, and we'll weed through it all, and we'll tell you what actually works.
Exactly.
This sports performance is the Wild West. They're still learning. We are part of this process. We are actually giving our feedback to companies.
I'm gonna kind of just talk about you. How many people do you know in the private sector? I've been in sports performance training for 20 years.
No, one.
I'm saying I don't Chip Smith, and you're the only person that I've known that's been doing this at a real legitimate level for 20 years. Of course, there's strength conditioning career coaches that have been doing it that long, but in the private sector, the only people that have survived are the people that are doing the right things. And look at the companies that have survived for the past 20 years. Exos, right? Exos has been around for a while, but they're finally just starting to get big now. Same thing with a lot of these other companies and programs is they're the mainstays right now, and everybody looks to them for results, just as if, when we get big athletes, they come in here and they look to us for results. So I think that you guys are going to love it.
I keep saying it's just unfinished business. There's unfinished business. I could do better. There's things that we can do that we're still not touching. We are now getting to if you see where we were 3 years ago, to where it is now, and how much more refined it's gotten, and how much the equipment has changed, and how much so anyway, if anything we do at this clinic, we'll want to tell you some truths and truth based on evidence. It's not, you're going to hear a million things, what works, what doesn't. We're going to weed through it and tell you we're the ones that are keeping evidence. It's not like we're into any gimmicks. We find it. We have it right here in evidence. So anyway, we're excited to have that. And the next one I'm just as excited about. I just prioritized us in front of it. Is Tim Watson doing his mental skills clinic. It's called the Inner Install. It's a play on words with the football installation and stuff like that, but inner install, meaning inside, mentally. I always say, this week I've been saying what I've been saying every day. What's more important than physical preparation?
Mental preparation.
And then what's more important than that? Spiritual preparation. Tim is dangerous because he does both. He can use Bible where sports psychologists cannot, and he does. So he's got you on levels that you I was talking to Adam D'Andrea today, and he was been through his third session right now, and he's blown away. His teams are blown away already. Cannot wait for you guys to get this information.
Yeah, I think that especially with Coach Watson coming in here and you guys having the opportunity to learn from him, who's an accomplished, athlete. He's made it to the pinnacle of football. He's made it to the NFL, and he's had some things along the way that cut his career short, very similar to you. And, those moments you learn a lot from yourself. You know what I mean? And him being able to come in here and then attack it from his background, all the players that he's coached. He's a multiple state championship winning head coach at Cedar Creek. He's coached professional athletes. He works with many professional athletes right now as far as mindset training. His kids are very successful. Kylie is super successful at Oregon, then Notre Dame, McDonald's All-American. Hunter's just getting started at Monmouth, and Ryder's probably going to be the best of them all. We'll see here. But you can just see that his and all the mainland kids talk about him nonstop, from just being able to get them back in the moment, back in the present, after they made a bad play, how to go about manifesting the next play or the right outcomes. And if Michael Jordan needs a mental coach, I think we all do. You know what I mean? And Tim Grover got especially popular being Michael Jordan's kind of guy for mental guidance. And Tim, I think, also Tim Grover worked with Kobe and a couple other people too. But this is becoming a necessary thing in sports. You have team chaplains, and then you have who kind of for a while functioned as a sports psychologist too, but just attacked it from a spiritual level. But now teams are hiring sports psychologists that are attacking it alongside the spiritual level, the mental level, and then teaching you everything in between. And I think that it's we're blessed to be able to have him so local to us, so close to us. And this clinic's going to do well, but in the future, once the word gets out of how powerful his speaking is at this clinic and preparing people with actual real game plans, similar to us physically, he's the mental game plan. You do that. I think this will be a packed house next year. We'll have to need a bigger venue.
Yeah, I've been saying if anybody I've ever met was going to be on the Joe Rogan podcast, it's going to be Tim Watson.
Yeah.
He's the next. He's next up.
Yeah.
When you guys get this information, and he made it very, very affordable, which, which when you start to get into one-on-one stuff, because he doesn't offer group things like that. Just maybe some team stuff, but it's not going to be close to being able to get in at this price. It was 3 lessons at $79, and it's there'll be the place will be packed probably, but this is the way to go in. And if it's something that you were thinking about that you may need to do and you want to take it further, then you could see Tim after that.
I think that at that price point, you should be coming in here. If you're an athlete in general,
no-brainer.
If you're an athlete in general, I think that you should be able to get in here, and especially if you're one of these kids that tells me you don't have a good coach. Just to be honest with you. I hear a lot of kids saying, coach this, coach that, and it's you have an opportunity now to come in here and learn from a great coach and a great man, and then also to have a great game plan of I may not agree with my coach, or we're not that organized as a team. Well, now I have a guy who teaches me how to create a good inner culture, so then I can create a better outer culture, and I feel like that is, what sports are right now. It's obviously it's the buzzword of the past 10 years in sports is culture. But
yeah, so we'll put some information up there for you on the screen. Make sure you get on. It's right on our website.
Yep.
So it's the first thing you see on our website. Go ahead and click that. Go in and sign up for that. Please do. It'll be here on the
There's 3 dates you can choose from.
Yeah, we'll put it up on the
3
screen.
dates.
But we're super excited, and that's going to take us to the next level. We will be there as students that day.
Yeah, I'm sitting down with them.
We get nothing from this. This goes through our system, but everything goes to Tim, and we are students that day.
Yeah.
So we'll be here to learn all 3 days, and I'm so excited. And thanks, Tim, for choosing us to do this. So we'll get into the Who Dat Athlete of the Week next.
Who dat? Hey.
It's a little fun for me because I've had some fun with this kid over the years. His dad is one of my best friends in the entire world. So I'm going to call out Conlon Fitzpatrick as our Who Dat Athlete of the Week.
Yep.
Now, Conlon I've had since he was in our at the time we were calling it the Young Guns program. Yeah. And he was the energy of the facility. He used to wear the goggles. He used to get screaming loud. He was just like a warrior amongst kids that were just kind of quiet and kind of reserved, and he was not. He's never been, and he's out in Oregon right now, flexing in every mirror, every picture. He's flexing and everything, showing off his abs and everything. But away from all the fun, and I just love the kid. Anyway, he's had some crazy good results because he's been finally gotten really, really consistent. Do you know some of the scores?
Yeah, so Conlon's one of the leading 8th graders right now in vertical leap. He's, I think, 31.6 or almost 32 inches on the vertical leap. His miles per hour, I think he's hit 18 was his best in 8th grade, which is phenomenal. And I would say that the greatest thing about Conlon is, like, in this world of everybody being extremely introverted, of just staring at their phones and not being able to socialize or have eye contact or even conversation for very long, especially at his age, he excels at all of that. He's not as scared to be who he is at all, which is a talent that honestly a lot of the greats have. Is like when they step on the field, when they compete, they put themselves at the highest of levels on that field, and I think that that's going to take Conlon really far. And some people may say it's cockiness or whatever you want to call it, and you know what, it might be it sometimes, but I do respect Conlon for having such great confidence, and I think that just momentum that carries him into the next thing. Like every time he comes in, he's juiced up and he's ready to attack the day, and he's ready to attack the workout.
It's fun to work with him.
Yeah, 100%.
It's fun to work with him, and he asks a lot of good questions, and he said, he says some funny stuff because you're just not used to hearing that
from a kid like that. Yeah, kid his age.
But he is a special kid. I love him, because I've helped raise him at this point. And his dad's a hero.
Yeah.
Is one of the most decorated Coast Guard rescue swimmers of all time.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he's got a lot of he sees his dad getting all that respect from everybody all the time, and he's gotten to see like some of the coolest things in the world, and nothing phases him. You know what I mean? Like nothing's too big. He doesn't get intimidated by older people in class. As a matter of fact, he starts the trash talking almost immediately.
Yeah.
So, but Conlon couldn't be prouder to call out this one. You are the Who Dat Athlete of the Week. Next up is our Inside the Four Walls.
Yeah.
So inside the four walls, this is kind of what we did training-wise this week, and we did the pre-program the entire summer, so I'm going to hand it over to you. Yeah,
again, we focus on what we focus on. We focus on the things that are going to get the kids most ready to play in the fall, and it's acceleration. Ours is day 1 of the week, initial force generation, day 2 of the week, center of mass management / a rhythm day on week 3, and then we have max velocity on day 4. Now, I want to talk about the center of mass management and rhythm more so than anything today. You, just as well as I know, great athletes make things look effortless, meaning they, look like they're using less effort in order to do things. And a lot of that is a sequencing thing, which boils down to rhythm and how you can turn muscles on when they're supposed to be turned on and turn muscles off when they're supposed to be turned off. I love the analogy that you give because it's so simple. It's like if you're driving a car, and kids can relate to this because it's like if you're driving your bike or you're driving a go-kart or you're driving a scooter or you're driving one of these e-bikes, it's like having your hand on the gas or your foot on the gas and then one hand on the brake. And you're sitting there and you can hear the brake. You can hear it grinding when you're moving, and you know that that's not how it should be moved. It's either full gas or full brake or full gas or full brake. And it's very hard, I think, for a lot of athletes to get that, especially if they're coming from a background of they did weights and then they did a different sport here that runs differently than this sport here that runs. So a lot of grinding happens, and we found that the best way to kind of get that grinding out is to have that center of mass management day where it's a lot of rhythm, it's a lot of turning on and turning off with what we call complexes, which is just multiple jumps in a row that are high level, high CNS jumps, like a track jump or a pogo quarter full is one that we always use. Sometimes we go quarter pogo full, sometimes we do full pogo quarter, and all we're trying to do is challenge the brain and challenge the body to sequence in order at a very high level. And what's very funny about it is as soon as you introduce a new one, the kids are like, what the heck is this? And they don't do it very well, and then they get it. But I think the coolest thing that we've done since you started doing pogo quarter fulls, which is in the barn, I don't know if you remember, but you did it one day. I feel like ever since then, now these kids have been exposed. Almost every kid's been back since then. So we have a lot of the same turnover kids that come in, and those kids that experienced it back then can now pick up a drill and do it like this, and can do it like this. It's very similar to how elite athletes, pro athletes, will come in here and they'll look at that and they'll go, okay, and then they'll do it wrong once, and then they're doing it by the second, third time at a very high level.
It's hard to transition from the last vertical leap to the pogo. It's hard. It's hard to get people to do that. But now they're like, do it like
right away.
And the neat thing with center mass, a lot of it has to do with deceleration and quad strength and eccentric quad strength, which is another thing that people just overlook. I see
100%.
other people do this.
100%.
And this is what they do. They put hurdles. They step over the couple hurdles. They step over them back, and then they run a sprint, and then they step through a bunch of like cones. And I keep looking at those drills and going, I don't know why. I don't know why anybody. I hope no one's paying for that. That's my main thing. Is I could say this at this point: don't spend your money. If you set up some cones, you want to do it, great. In our world, that would be like doing a dance move. You might as well go do the Macarena.
Yeah.
It's not going to improve your physical attributes.
Yeah.
It's not going to do your technical attributes because there's no hurdles there.
No.
That you're going to do that rhythm. If you're doing rhythm, there should be rhythm movements that happen on the field or in the game. These sort of things are not pre-scripted. You don't things happen that you have to react to and stuff like that. So what we do is we work on eccentric loads and how we can absorb shock and stuff like that. That does happen and will show up.
Well, so that's the biggest point that I think a lot of people miss is you have to sprint in game, but you also have to stop in game. And if you don't have the physical attributes to stop, your speed is almost totally negated because you could be going against somebody who never has trained before in their life, and you're very fast. So you run a route fast, and then you have to stop, or you have a fast crossover, and then you have to stop to pull up to shoot. Well, all of a sudden, your stop to pull up to shoot or your route break is hindered because you don't have the physical qualities necessary in order to stop. So now you're taking way longer to stop because you increased your speed and you increased your acceleration. So now you're battling against yourself because you haven't built the other end of that, which is the game speed end of it that I think a lot of people miss on. And, you know, we this time of year, it's very acceleration-based. We still touch on center of mass management, but throughout all of the winter, spring, and fall, it's a lot of center of mass management, teaching kids to drop their weight, drop their body, in rhythm, in sync, and actually build the physical attributes. Not like you said, the ladder rhythm or like the cone rhythm or the hurdle rhythm. It's the actual physical rhythm of being under tension. And this is another point that I don't think anybody else has recreated. I have never seen it. Almost all of our isolation center mass management work where we're working on decel is overspeeded because we use the chords.
Yeah.
So, and this is like another point that's going to go down a rabbit hole is we know that muscle fibers work better when they're more relaxed. So a more relaxed fiber is going to snap back faster and give you more back out. When you overload eccentrically at a high rate, it forces you, after the first couple times you do it, first couple sentences you do it, you start to feel how to relax faster and almost take that energy and then stop it, transfer it, and go back out with a very explosive movement. And that leads over into insane results on decel. And you see a lot of the kids' quads in here building up so big. And that's a lot of it is from that decel stuff of overloading fast, so letting the muscle overload and then get back out, which I think is a very important point.
One of the things that we talk about, we did this week at maximum velocity, so we're still inside the four walls. We just did that over our max velocity drill. I don't think I've even showed anybody this. It's like an overspeed drill. When your foot has to contact the ground and get off very quickly. We were running it, getting to top speed, and then shortening our stride down. And taking pitter-patter steps so that you react to the ground. And I remember, as a hurdler, you can't take full strides, but you're getting up to high speeds, and then pitter-patter, pitter-patter, and that is what is another attribute that hurdlers have. They can get on and off the ground very quickly. We've seen, like, Sophia Curtis put up big numbers on some of those things because her ground contacts are so fast. So that's kind of one of those things before we had even thought of overspeed or anything like that. We were doing get to high speed, shorten the stride, so that your work it worked for a little bit, about 20 yards, where you're still decelerating but trying to move fast. So that was a neat exercise, and that, believe it or not, is when you're running at high speeds and you want to be able to move, juke, run a route or something like that, decelerate, stop, change direction. You don't want to be grinding hard. You don't want to be trying very hard.
Not at all.
You want to be relaxed. I see a lot of the kids that we see just grind and everything they have, and then they try to make a move. They can't.
Yeah, they get stuck.
We see guys that are very fluid and relaxed, move at high speeds, and then just drop their weight down and shift and slide and be fluid.
I think another thing with those kids who do that, understand that once you accelerate and you're a relaxed top speed runner, you coast at a speed that is so similar to your top speed within 1 mile an hour, usually in really high level athletes. So they can accelerate. They have that ability. They've been with us. They accelerate up to top speed. And then once they're at top speed, for the most part, top speed is just a lot of fundamentals and posture and rhythm and just holding it. Just nice, easy, relax. And they can stay within 1 mile an hour at a top speed, at a very high speed. And then they can have the ability to drop their weight and cut and move and juke or whatever they're doing because of that relaxation.
This is when I want to get up out of the seat and show.
Yeah.
We're doing the motions.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm dancing right now.
But was a great week, very productive week. A lot of PRs this week on scores.
We had some insane drops in the 0 to 10, like some tenth of a second drops in 0 to 10.
A neat one, Isaiah West, who's going to Ohio State next year, he's a commit to Ohio State. He actually has another year left, but we did a few things with him technically and watched him drop almost a tenth of a second off of his 10-yard dash, which he was kind of stuck at.
Yeah.
We just looked at some of the patterns. He was running an 8-step pattern. We changed it to a 7-step pattern, and all of a sudden the time dropped. That was all he did.
Yeah.
And then he was consistent at that when we changed the pattern. So, like, we can do that with not just watching and vectoring the body, but actually just watching the steps. When you're using junk volume and when you're actually really, when you're doing too much or you're out of position or whatever, we can kind of fix those things. So without further ado, let's get into what's going on the outside the four walls of this place, and then we'll wrap it up. Outside the four walls, we just tested Williamstown High School. We are now scheduled to do
Washington, right? Township.
Washington Township.
Gammy.
We got moved because it was the heat. We have Gammy. We also are doing Wildwood Catholic Girls.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Mainland, of course.
We're also doing. Oh yeah. Didn't tell you this. You're hearing it first. We're going to do the soccer team at Atlanta Christian School too. Awesome. Which that's how I found Cruz in the first place.
Yeah.
So we have a lot going on. And again, if you guys get this and you have a team that you want us to come out and test and do the diagnostics for, we will. Just depends on what the sport is. With basketball, it was more of a miles per hour, a 10-yard dash, and a vertical leap, and we can create composite scores off of that. That was very easy, and a very organized report came up for them, and the coach can take the objective information and say, here's who I'm going to give the nod to. And also, with Williamstown, we're going to go back and retest later and see who did some of the work in the off season that he wanted to. Yeah. And he's got a program that we've created for them. If they do it and follow it, those numbers will go up because we programmed it. Yeah. If not, we'll find out. So there's the truth right there. The neat setup there. What else do we have? Hunter Watson will be back and forth. He's coming home for like 3 weeks right now.
He just told me, he's on summer break. He's back in, getting right back to work, which is, what you love to see. Yep. He's going to light it up out there at Monmouth, which is great. He said he went to Monmouth, and they were just blown away at how well he moved, and, we knew it was coming. Yeah. He finished, I think, for his freshman class, he was second in the 10-yard dash. That includes everybody. So that includes skill guys, too. His vert 38 plus. I would love to get him. He took a little bit of a taper because he wasn't in with us, so I would love to see if we can get him high, maybe even 39, maybe even 40. We'll see.
I told his dad the other day, and his dad's quiet about it, and he just kind of smiles, and I'm like, I think he's a kid that can put up first-round draft pick numbers no matter what school he's at. I think he can go 40-yard he can go 40 in about high 4.4, and I think he can jump a 40-inch vertical leap. He does that. There's no way he's going later than the third round, and he hasn't played it down of college football yet. And no matter what school he plays at, his dad proved that. His dad was a sixth round draft pick, going to Rowan.
Yeah. So I'm hyped for him to come back.
One of our athletes, Pat Ruley, is now the head football coach at Rowan University. Yep. I just hooked him up with a gig at ESPN. They're going to interview him next week, next Saturday at 11. If you're interested in that, on the Locker Room. This is a show that I do. I'm actually coming back on there. That's another cool thing. I got invited back on, start August 10th. And we have a villain that we created. It's pretty cool. The Negadelphian. It's a typical negative Philadelphia football fan.
Every Philly fan.
They just so we're added that segment. You guys are gonna love it. We are actually in the process of creating the backstory on the character
Negadelphia.
And so we're just kind of getting the best of every negative Philadelphia fan.
That's gonna be hilarious. Yeah, it's a really good concept too. Yeah. I don't really listen to the radio show. I'm gonna be honest, but when you guys do that, I'll throw it on. I do listen to it when you have segments, but
it's cool because I do the sports science segment. I'm a little bit more of like football, on the field, inside the gridiron type of thing, and they tee up my questions so that I'm talking about it from a player standpoint or from a sports science standpoint. But the best is we get our best Nielsen ratings when we just argue. So we were like, you know what? Let's just argue with somebody. So we made a villain to create a bunch of arguments that we can laugh at, but also it's a funny typical Philly thing. And as we are very proud people for no reason, we're just nothing to be proud of. We just are proud.
Yeah.
About that, and
Well, I'd say shout out Nick too, Nick Earnshaw. I mean, he's
Nick
not an athlete,
Earnshaw.
but he helps us out at Flag Football. He does a
Yeah.
great job announcing. Just got his own show on ESPN, right?
So we're they'll make all the announcements for that coming up soon. But he's we're proud of Nick because I've watched him as a young talent, very talented kid come from WIP, which is a big network, come down here and just dominating everything he's doing, and very smart, he's an encyclopedia, and you'll see him right in our studio. We'll have him in and come on with us too. So let's just wrap it up, and we'll see you next time. Make sure you check our newsletter, our actual written newsletter, our articles. I'm referring people, and I'm actually hearing a lot of people who are reading them. They'll comment and say, "Hey, that was really good. That was really informative. I love that." So, and sometimes it's not the kid, it's the parents.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that, but
which is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. So anyway, from Clinic Performance Method Studio, we'll see you next time.